Welcome to a new series I want to try out called YAPS Films, which is basically me discussing either my favourite film or genre of films or just kind of anything in particular that I love about films. This is basically just going to be me yapping away at my camera and hoping that I get something that makes sense out of this, because I can yap for hours about films. So for episode 1, I want to start off with my love for horror and kind of where that came from, some of my favourite subgenres, and just kind of everything about why I love horror as a genre. So my love for horror probably started around October 2022, and it started off with the Scream films. And I think that I picked a pretty good place to start with a slasher rather than like a full-on jump scares, like demons kind of horror, because I expected myself to be absolutely terrified of them because of how I was with like scary kids films like Coraline and Paranorman, and I actually got scared over Doctor Who once, so I did not like the idea of actually delving into scary horror. I was really nervous to do that, so I thought, start off with Scream, give it a go. If I like it, I can find similar films. If not, I've watched Scream, there we go. From there, I kind of carried on with my idea of classic slasher villains, which to me, when I think of slasher villains, I think of Ghostface, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy Krueger. To me, those are the 4 classic slasher villains. I moved on to Halloween next, I think, if I remember correctly, and I watched all of the Halloween films, and I just didn't really like it that much. I haven't watched them since too much. I've maybe watched a couple close to when I first watched them, but other than that, I have not gone back to them because a lot of them aren't on streaming services and I don't have a DVD box set. I am going to invest in one at some point or try and find them in charity shops, but for now I haven't gone back into them, so this is like from my first impression of the films. So I don't really like Halloween all too much. I found the first film incredibly boring and I just kind of didn't really find them too interesting. I watched all of them, so I was like, just in case there's one later on I liked, and I did actually like Halloween Kills. I think it was Halloween Kills I really liked. I also liked Halloween 2018, I think it is. I did not like Halloween Ends. I hated it. Words cannot describe the amount of hatred I had for that film. I hated Halloween Ends so much because why would you spend half the film introducing a new character, focusing on a new character, to then kill them off halfway through and then put the focus back on Michael Myers? It just, I didn't like it. I did not like it. Didn't like it. The next kind of horror films I delved into was It and It Chapter 2, and I really loved them. I really remember loving one scene in particular. I think it's from the second film. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on this. And it's the scene where the little girl kind of finds Pennywise. I think they're under like bleachers. I'm not 100% sure. I have not watched It Chapter 2 or the first It film in a long time. But I remember a young girl finding Pennywise under the bleachers, and Pennywise counts down for some reason but doesn't say 1. The little girl's like, but you didn't say 1. And he just kind of gets her. And I really remember that, and I remember like laughing so much just because of like how kind of out of pocket it was. But I enjoyed it and It Chapter 2, and I didn't find them scary like I thought I would. I actually ended up finding them a little bit funny, from what I can remember. But that was kind of my first real taste of horror, and I kind of just left it at that for a while. I watched a couple other like slashery kind of movies here and there, like Fear Street, Freaky. Then in September of 2023, I kind of decided I wanted to watch more horror films and like really get into horror, and I started that off with Saw. And since then, they have become some of my favourite horror films. Sure, I don't like some of the films as much as others, and I have a lot of opinions about Jigsaw, but they are some of my favourite horror films. I just love them so much, and I could honestly go on about them for hours, which I'm not doing because this is not an episode about Saw. I am going to do an episode about Saw at some point, just so I can kind of yap away and get it all out of my system in one go. I actually kind of ended up watching Saw just like on repeat amongst other films for about 2 months, which, yeah, that happened. I would just I'd watch the first one, then the second one, then work my way through again, and then restart it, and then go again, and just keep going. I did watch a handful of other films in October. I actually think I ended up watching about 32 or 33 different horror films in October, which was more than I was trying to do. I was just trying to watch at least 31 horror films, but I ended up watching over that. But I then decided to delve into a broader range and move away from kind of the slasher, kind of gory horror films, and I did that by watching Insidious. I went with Insidious because I kind of fell in love with Leigh Whannell, and knowing that Leigh Whannell and James Wan were involved in Insidious, and I thought, why not make the leap to scary horror films? I fully expected myself to be like terrified watching these films, so I watched them on my phone because small screen, low volume during the day because I did not want to be scared. I wanted to not have that knowing feeling that it's dark outside, I'm going to go to bed in a minute, I'm not going to sleep well. So I watched them and I wasn't scared of the first one, wasn't scared of the second one. The third one made me jump at the end. Fourth one, I did scream at, I'm not gonna lie, because it shows a clip from the first film where it kind of zooms in on the window and nothing jumps out in the first film. But in the fourth film, something jumps out, and it caught me off guard because I kind of had that false sense of security of, oh, in the first one, nothing jumps out. But not in this one, not in the fourth one. The fifth one, I think I screamed at twice, once in the MRI scene, but I think I worked myself up hearing that, oh, the MRI scene is so scary, like, oh my god, I'm terrified. And it kind of, I worked myself up and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I also screamed at the bit where Dalton is, I think he's hiding under the bed and he gets like dragged out, or he pulls himself out and someone is leaning over the edge of the bed and throws up on him, which I can't handle throwing up. So I struggled with that part of the film, but it scared me so much, like, and I watched these ones at night at this point because I was like, oh, the first two didn't scare me. I feel happy watching the third, fourth and fifth one at night. I actually slept pretty well though afterwards. When I watched Insidious for the first time, I had the best night's sleep I'd had in a while after watching that film, which is a bit ironic given that I literally just watched a horror film. I also screamed at the bit where Dalton is, I think he's hiding under the bed and he gets like dragged out, or he pulls himself out and someone is leaning over the edge of the bed and throws up on him, which I can't handle throwing up. So I struggled with that part of the film, but it scared me so much, like, and I watched these ones at night at this point because I was like, oh, the first two didn't scare me. I feel happy watching the third, fourth and fifth one at night. I actually slept pretty well though afterwards. When I watched Insidious for the first time, I had the best night's sleep I'd had in a while after watching that film, which is a bit ironic given that I literally just watched a horror film. But yeah, that was kind of my first touch on other subgenres of horror. From there, I just kind of watched any and all horror films. Like, as of now, I've seen Cloverfield, which is found footage and aliens. I've watched some of the Paranormal Activities. I am going to try and finish them, but I'm not enjoying them too much. When I don't enjoy a film series that much, I need to like watch them all in like one go. I need to not take any breaks, or like watch some one night, do the next few the next night, and just like not watch anything else in between, so that my sole focus is on those films. I did that with Alien and it worked and I got all of them watched. I've watched some zombie films. I don't think I've really delved into monster kind of horror. I've watched a handful, but I've not really gone into it. I've watched bad horror films. I've delved into kind of the childhood character turned villain, like horror villain horror films, and I, controversial opinion, by the sounds of it, I enjoyed Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. The first one, not so much. Second one, yes, it's bad, but I had the most fun watching it. And I will defend those movies with my entire being, so don't come at me in the comments. But I think one of the reasons why I love horror as much as I do is because horror as a genre has so many different subgenres to it that you can like one area of horror but not so much the other. So you might like the slashers rather than like your paranormal and supernatural films, or you might like found footage. Found footage tends to tie into another genre, like Cloverfield being aliens, Blair Witch Project being kind of your supernatural paranormal kind of ones. But you've also got like your monsters, you've got your extra gory ones like Terrifier and Saw. So that's just kind of where my love for horror came from, kind of how I got into horror, and why I think I love horror as much as I do. If you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe. I appreciate all the support, and I can't wait to see how this channel grows.